Black Ops 2 released about 12 years ago in 2012 and is one of my favorite games of all time. This game has such an iconic setting, story, and the gameplay is just so good. I love this game so much, and I thought I knew a lot about it. But one thing about Call of Duties that I just never knew about was the various cut content from these games. In game development, of course, things change and various things are cut along the way of creating a final product of a video game. And sometimes these scraps of what could have been are still left over in the files, and people find what is left over and showcase them to everyone else. And that is what I'm going to be doing today. We are going to be looking at the cut content from Black Ops 2. All of this information was sourced from a website called the Cutting Room Floor, which will be linked down in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. So the first map here is Promin, which has the description of a floating resort in the middle of the Indian Ocean, tight corners and angles throughout. Now, this map would apparently become Plaza, which, as you can see on the screen, these two maps look a little bit different. That is until you compare this specific early screenshot to the bar area in Plaza. You can kind of see a similarity here with the circular bar thingy. So yeah, apparently Promenade would eventually become Plaza, and this early screenshot is basically just a different screenshot of the map. It's also interesting how this specific area is laid out a little bit different. It looks like that circular bar area was a little bit lower, and it looks like you could have climbed on it, which would have changed how the map is played, I would imagine. I also believe that the textures in this early screenshot are unfinished, so I'm not sure if this bar area would have just been white like it is in the picture. It is interesting how the layout slightly changed during development. The next map we have here is Standoff. Now, this early screenshot of Standoff, of course, has the same classic name of the map, and it has the same description as well. The only thing different is really the weather and the details, of course, the textures, but also the positioning of where this camera is. If I had to guess, I believe this screenshot of the map is taken from the top left loading screen of Standoff. This early screenshot looks like the map might have been a little bit more extended, which could have been interesting. But luckily, we ended up getting the iconic Standoff that we all know and love. Next up, we have Cargo, and this early screenshot is pretty interesting. It seems to have the same layout as the final map that we got, but the weather is quite different, and the top of the cargo containers is different as well. I know this is probably just missing textures, but to me it almost looks like snow, and it's just kind of a fun idea of what if the cargo containers had snow on top of them. I don't know. I think it would have been cool. Next up, we have Express, and the main change that is seen in this map, I'm sure as many of you can tell, is that the train looks a little bit older. Of course, Black Ops 2 is set in 2025, so it is a slightly futuristic game, and the train that is showcased in this early screenshot is just almost like a New York City subway train. It isn't really the most modern thing. But besides that, the layout looks about the same. It's cool to think about what this could have been, and if I remember correctly, I believe Cold War had a older train similar to this one, but I could be wrong. If I had to theorize, I think this is just a Black Ops 1 asset, and when they are making these Call of Duty games, since they release them yearly, they usually reuse and build upon what they used in the previous year. This just saves time in development, and they eventually plan to change things later on. And if I had to guess, I think Express is one of those things, and this train is one of those things that they just plan to change. But yeah, it's kind of just interesting to think what could have been regarding multiplayer maps. Speaking of multiplayer maps, there is one missing game mode that was found within the files. Now, this specific game mode was called Hacker. This is from the Cutting Room Floor website, and it says an unused point-based free-for-all game mode where players would have to disable and then hack AGRs. Players were given points for hacking, killing other players, and getting kills with the AGRs. AGR kills would award more points, and in the latest version of the game, all that remains of this game mode is a menu icon. Interestingly enough, if you have a specific PS3 version of this game, you can still play this game mode. But yeah, this game mode is just kind of interesting. Essentially, you would hack a little robot, and if you got kills using that robot, you would win. Yeah, it seems really fun, and it reminds me of the newer Call of Duty game modes that release where they're a little bit more goofy and wacky. Back in the day, we really didn't get new game modes too often, and especially goofy game modes kind of like this one. Yeah, this game mode just seems really fun to play. Next up, we're going to be looking at created class stuff. First off, we have 3 created class icons that went unused for pretty obvious reasons, except for one. That is the jet gun, the python, and the ray gun. Of course, the jet gun and the ray gun are wonder weapons found within Black Ops 2 Zombies, but the python is a cool old western kind of pistol that, of course, is found within Black Ops 2 Zombies. For some reason, this pistol never made it into multiplayer, but I mean, it was fully done and usable in Black Ops 2 Zombies, so it's kind of strange it never made it into the multiplayer, and this created class icon kind of suggests that it was supposed to eventually make it into multiplayer. So, if you have any game theories as to why it didn't make it into multiplayer, I would love to hear them down in the comments. Next up, we have some leftover attachments that were from Black Ops 1. Again, this ties into the idea of what I said earlier, where game developers will use what they previously created to create their next game. So these leftover attachments are a flamethrower, a grenade launcher, and a underbarrel shotgun, all from Black Ops 1. Unfortunately, none of these ended up making it into the game. There was a underbarrel grenade launcher that made it into Black Ops 2, but there was no flamethrower or underbarrel shotgun. Next up, we have a variety of leftover game modes, and what I found specifically interesting about this screenshot was wager matches. Of course, this is ripped from Black Ops 1, but it implies that Black Ops 2 may at some point have had a COD point system and had a wager system. For those of you who think I'm talking about the COD points that you purchase in the shop, I'm talking about the COD points in the original Black Ops 1 that you would earn in multiplayer to purchase things like weapons and attachments for your guns in multiplayer. This was a super fun system, and part of the system was wager matches, where you could gamble some of your points in a game, and if you played well, then you won your points. It was super fun, and it kind of sucks that it never made it into Black Ops 2. It was one of my favorite features in a Black Ops multiplayer, or really any Call of Duty multiplayer. So yeah, it just kind of sucks it never made it in. I'm gonna cut the video short here just because there's so much cut content from Black Ops 2 where if I put it all into this single video, it would be like an hour long. And since I don't want to edit an hour-long video, I'm gonna post this kind of just as a test, and if you guys like it, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. There's a ton of cut content from Black Ops 2, and I think it's all pretty interesting, so if you would like to see more of this, let me know down in the comments below. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day.